Welcome to Exposing the Hidden Reality. I'm Annette, career reinvention coach and caffeine-powered human.
And I'm Sandra, women's life and leadership coach. I bring the woo to our conversations.
And this is the podcast where we call out all the unspoken stuff, biases, outdated expectations, and all the things women navigate in work and in life.
Yes. We bring to light what we see happening. Smart, capable women stuck in the same patterns because no one really talks about what's going on.
We'll bring some difficult truths.
Welcome, insightful experts.
And sprinkle in a little chaos and fun.
It wouldn't be us if we didn't, right?
True.
So whether you're walking the dog or tuning in during your commute, we're glad you're here. Let's do this.
Let's do this. You want to do the let's do this together? Like 3, 2, 1, let's do this. All right, 3, 2, 1. Let's
do this.
Gail, good morning. We are so excited to have you with us.
Good morning. I'm so excited to be here this morning. What a great way to start the day.
Oh my gosh. Thank you. Thank you, Gail. You're so sweet. So I am excited that you're here because we are going to talk about something that I don't think women talk about enough, which is power and kind of the dynamics that are at play when we think about and we say the word power. So I just want to give you the opportunity to introduce yourself in a little bit more detailed way and tell us your thoughts about power.
I'm Gail Rudolph. I started a company a few years back. I focus on power and influence. So I'm one of 13 people in the world, one of 2 females, the only female in the United States certified to talk about the principles of influence. What I've done in my life is that I have had encounters with power, that unspoken energy in the room. And basically, I learned how to deal with it. I had to in order to survive. And what I did was I went on and I decided I was going to share that with other people so that they had the opportunity to harness their own personal power also.
So, Gail, I'm curious, is this something that is specific to women, or is it just something that women do more than men?
I don't think it's specific to women. I think power and power dynamics are at play in any and every conversation we have. And what it's supposed to be is it's supposed to be a dance. Power goes back and forth, right? You have it sometimes in a conversation. I have it sometimes in a conversation. Where it gets out of play is when it gets out of balance and somebody has the power the whole time. Now, I do think that women are really, really bad at giving our power away. We do that, we create kind of this imbalance of power, and we do it unknowingly by not knowing how to react. So when we learn about power dynamics and how to work through them, we can create win-win situations. When people are in power struggles or power dynamics that are off, they do this. Because when we get pushed, we push back. And when we push back, I think we get labeled that really nasty B word, right? Because women aren't supposed to push back. But the problem with that is nothing gets accomplished when you have 2 people just pushing against each other. So what I learned is that we can actually use power to our advantage. And it's quite fun when you learn how to do it.
So I love it. So what are some of the ways that women unknowingly, not meaning to, give away our power?
Oh, one of the ways that I see women do it all the time is we take up a little space. A room, we set our papers in front of us, we sit with our legs crossed, our arms crossed, and we make sure everybody around us has lots of room. If you watch other people, powerful people that come in the room, they spread out. Much like a peacock, it's the same bird, but sometimes its feathers are all out, right? And sometimes the feathers are all tucked in. And if we remember that we have control and there's times that we want to be the feathers all out, and sometimes we want to tuck them back in, and we play that role in and out, it makes a big difference in the conversation. I tell people, don't be the bag lady coming in with all kinds of bags. Rushed speech. Don't run up the stairs before a meeting. Put your power away. Believe it or not, shoes that make noise, those heels that come down the hallway will take your power away. So make sure you're wearing soft heels. Eye contact. Those type of things take or give us power. So in my book, I give actual ways, a sheet to actually either power up or to power down. There's all kinds of things we can do with our hands, that show that we're power. Many times I always say, don't do this, which is folding your hands like you're praying, especially if you put them up to your mouth, because it means you have something you don't want to say or that you're hiding. Instead, make your hands, and I know people are listening, so put your hands together, but put space between your palms. Your palms say, safe, I'm a friend, right? It goes back to our days of caveman, right? So I always say wave to people, especially if you're on Zoom, so they can see your palm of your hands. But if you put your hands together and put space in between them, kind of like a pyramid, it says, I have authority. I have something to say. I'm a person here. And I love doing this in a meeting because inevitably I don't have to say a word. And somebody will say, Gail, do you have something? Do you have something to say? It's amazing how this stuff works. And we haven't been aware of it for years. And that's why I love teaching it and watching women change their lives around.
I'm smiling because at the dinner table yesterday, my 16-year-old was telling me that if you do this, that tells everybody you're not very cool because we don't wave like this anymore. And of course, that's how mom waves all the time. Right? And usually with the going right with it, right? So I will have to tell her that, no, you want to wave.
It's a generation thing, older you are, the more you'll wave like this. Otherwise, it's just kind of like this. But those palms of the hands say, I have authority. I mean, here, if the palm of your hands are up, it means I'm welcoming. I want to hear what you have to say. If you do the palm of your hands down, it means I have power and I have authority. So what we do, what we say, our eye contact, the way we sit in our chair, it all says things about how we hold and harness our power. And I just love it because you can take a conversation, and I've done this before. I'm a little sneaky. I've done this before in a conversation, right? Where it was a stressful conversation, and I will sit back and I'll take up a little room, and then I'll have more power when I want to exert it. Because it is this dance. It's not about powering over people. That's control and manipulation. Power is really the ability to have influence over, to move them in a certain direction. And that's what we want to do.
I love that. Yeah, I work with women in career transition or women trying to develop the next steps and stages of their career. And many times we talk about executive presence. And this sounds like an extension of what I talk about with them, especially on like a conference call or like this, where we're streaming, taking up the screen, right? Sitting in the middle, but going from top to bottom, using gestures that are purposeful, but not excessive, and then a little bit amount of movement, but not like excessive, like nodding at every single sentence that somebody's saying. And I never thought of it as a power dynamic. I teach it as more of a authority sort of thing where they know what they're talking about. They're a good match. They're open, they're friendly. And I love that it's associated with powerful movement.
Yeah. And the taking up space, they've just done a study on the most dynamic speakers are the ones that use their hands. And as women, we've been taught not to use our hands, but they're saying now, count things down with your fingers, use your hands, use your space, take up that space. Men do it. We should be doing it, right?
So I have two thoughts in my head. The first one is I could take up a lot of space if I just kind of let my hair out, right?
Love that.
And since we've been doing these podcasts, I've been going back and watching some of them, and I noticed I'm constantly like, yes, 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 yes. And of course, the curlier my hair is, right, the more I notice, like, oh yeah, because the curls are bouncing, right? So I am intrigued by what you're commenting on, and that in terms of making sure that you're acknowledging what's being said, but not like, oh yeah, 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 the head bob all the time.
Yeah, it's important to acknowledge what's being said, because even us as a speaker, we look for that agreement around the room. So if you're just sitting there without that, it makes, it's harmful to whoever's speaking and the relationship. So you don't ever want to use these as tactics to manipulate people. You want to use them as just a way to stand in your own interpersonal power and be authentic in it. It's okay. If you're a more lively, bubbly person and that's your personality, you can feel confident in that. Just be aware that some of the things you're doing may be counteracting it, and you may need to harness some of those in.
Right. And I'm intrigued as well by your comment about shoes that make noise.
That's interesting. Yes.
Why that?
I really don't know, but the studies show that when you are making a lot of noise coming into a room, that or walking down the hallway, that kind of takes your power away. I really don't know. I mean, my biggest guess would be it goes back to that whole heels clumping down the hallway, right? Which takes us and moves us not into a professional setting, but into more of a dating type of setting that happens in the mind. That's my guess, but all I can do is talk about what the studies show is that that noise coming down the hallway actually causes you to be less powerful.
Interesting. I wonder if it's some sort of like subconscious warning, like, oh, they're coming to see me. I'm in trouble, right? I get that feeling like, oh, I hear them coming, so something's up.
It could be. I mean, our brain is amazing. Dr. Daniel Kahneman talked about our fast brain and our slow brain, our system 1, system 2 thinking. And what happens is that we work in fast brain 95% of the time. That means we're making snap judgments, and we're jumping to conclusions, right? And that's where biases come in. They come in our fast thinking. So people who say, I have no biases, I go, yeah, right. You're just not aware of them, because it only takes 4 encounters for things to move into our fast thinking. If we had to use our fast thinking about everything that we were doing, we'd never get anything done. But things like 2 + 2, you answer very quickly. If I give you a longer formula, you're going to stop and move into slow thinking. But what happens is that the things that we're doing work in our fast thinking. Those clomping of shoes down, those taking up little spaces, those not making eye contacts, those ahs, not being sure about what we're doing. They all feed into our fast brain, click into our biases, and our brain jumps to conclusions. And that's what we want to control. If our brain jumps to conclusions, let's have them jump to the right conclusions, not the wrong ones.
Yeah, I think that's amazing. So talk a little bit about where a woman can take a step back, almost observe her behavior in a meeting or in an interaction, and then maybe choose to do something different that would give her a better sense of power and give her the ability to not control, but influence the conversation and move towards a desired outcome.
Absolutely. So one of my favorite things I tell people to do is to set up a camera when you're on a Zoom. Take your phone, set it up, and just film yourself, what you're doing. You're going to make mistakes. Don't be overly critical of yourself. Nobody's perfect 100% of the time. And then what you do is you take one area and work on it. Once you get that down, then you work on a different one. So if you find that you're taking up little space, if you find that you're doing this, doing the praying hands, instead of the hands separately, find out what you're doing. If you have rush speech, if your tone of your voice is high, one of the tricks I tell people is make sure you talk on the out breath. Makes a big difference. So if I'm saying to you, see if I can do it right, hello, or if I breathe in first and say, hello, see the difference in the tone of my voice? So if you're in a situation and something's aggravating you, or you're feeling that, or you're feeling that anxiety, take a breath first and speak on the out breath, because it lowers the tone of your voice, which actually will make you have more power.
I love that too. And what a way to stop and reflect too. Because sometimes, talking about fast brain, you're just going, your ideas are flipping and you're like, wow, I've got a lot to say. So taking that deep breath, being purposeful in what you're saying. I love speaking on the out breath. That really sounds like a way to slow the whole conversation down, which also is associated with more executive leadership style, right?
Exactly. And we need to remember that power is a choice. I mean, we have a choice to exhibit power. It's not something that people take away from us. And there's two sides of power, the power coin, right? We can power up and we can power down. And that's how there's times that we need to power down to make sure that the conversation does not move into a power struggle. And I think that when we realize that, we have a lot more fun at it.
So I've been reading some books lately about politicians, and specifically female politicians. And there's been kind of like a sense in myself of I can be pretty intense, right? So what are some of the ways that, say, as a woman, I can power down if I sense that the other person is being impacted by my intensity?
Well, some of the ways, again, make sure that your conversation style is maybe not so rushed. That will make a big difference. Your tone's not high. The other thing that I like is that you can use inclusive words. So you can use words like we or us, right? And where if you're powering up, you're going to use I, you know. When you use inclusive words, it causes people to realize they're part of a team and that they can join in. You can use qualifiers like I think, right? Or let's see, it's my opinion might be better than just stating what you're saying. It's really one of those things that you want to realize that the conversation's getting tense. And when the conversation gets tense, you want to step back a little bit. Maybe shift your weight even back as I sat back in my chair, and be able to create this atmosphere where people feel more comfortable to share. What I loved doing, and I don't really get into political conversations, but what I loved doing is during the debates, I turned off the sound and I watched the body language because it says a lot. Men can be condescending and they can get away with it. Women can't be very condescending. It works against us a lot. So we still need to be using friendly words, be open, but we want to be able to use those words that show that we're friendly, right? And that we're there. We also have competent words. There's different words you can use that show competency. So I love teaching people these things like the one way I look at it is when we look at schedules, or you want to create teamwork and friendly and cohesiveness, you use things instead of using one-on-one meetings, you say things like our brainstorming session, right? So we can use different words that kind of shape what's going on in the other person's mind also. So I'm not sure if did I answer your question?
Yes, and I think the important part of what you're saying is to be intentional. So sometimes you need that intensity and you want that intensity, and the intensity is appropriate. And so you don't want to do the things that would create a power down. You want to keep that up there. So if the content or the context is such that you must maintain that intensity, then don't do those things, right? And if it's a collaborative process and you recognize that the other person is becoming impacted, then you can choose to then say, okay, I need to shift how I'm interacting. And I think that is a beautiful statement that you're making, is that we're often not intentional about the way that we are interacting, and that when we choose to really pay attention to how others are being impacted by us and how we're being impacted by others, we can then make adjustments.
Exactly. We need to move out of reacting, those habitual responses, and into a thoughtful response. Remember, I said power is a dance. It goes back and forth between the people that are there. So there's going to be maintaining power is going to be, okay, I'm going to be very bad here because my dog is on my
I was just about to say, I
So
saw a little one.
This is the part where you're real. I forgot to set him down off the desk before we started.
What a sweetie.
It can take your power away, but it also can make you real.
Yes.
So, that's why you have to be careful. Power is there. It's there for you to harness. And whether you're powering up or you're powering down, maintaining your power is not giving it away. The moment we lose our composure is the moment we give our power away.
I love that. And I think that's the piece that can be so hard when emotions are high. I was just talking with somebody last evening about having an uncomfortable conversation and how hard that is for some of us, maybe due to our conflict style, maybe not having so much practice. So what are some recommendations you would give to maintain your power, maintain your authority? Because the difficult conversation usually is related to performance. And then how can you also make it the space welcoming enough so that people are honest about what's going on and asking enough for help so that they get what they need in the situation?
I think probably the best way to describe this is, I worked with a lady by the name of Kelly. Kelly would go into her supervisor and say, I've been here 11 years. It's time for a promotion. And he would say, oh, well, you've got to learn to work with the team better. And the next time she'd bring it up, he'd say, oh, we need to work on your competency. You need to get these skills down a little bit better. And this went on for a couple of years. And she's so frustrated. She didn't know what. So we started working together about power and the way she was showing up and the way she was responding to things. And lo and behold, there was a dinner one night where they were going and they were figuring out strategy for something. And they were meeting with a bunch of volunteers. It was a non-for-profit. And she got to this meeting and realized all of a sudden she happened to be the only female in the room. Just by coincidence, okay? It wasn't planned, it just happened. I knew her boss. I knew her boss was not somebody that pushed females down. I knew he had good intentions. But what happened in this room was he said, well, Kelly's here. She's going to be taking notes. And Kelly normally would have gotten very upset about this and responded, and shut down. She just would have sat there and taken her notes and just been angry, and probably her husband would have heard about it for months after the fact. But we had been working together. So she spoke up, right? She said, that's right. I'm going to be taking notes because I'm developing the strategy for this project moving forward. So I may interrupt you and I may ask you to repeat what you're saying, because as I develop the strategy, I want to make sure that I get all your ideas. And then she proceeded to do that throughout the meeting. She interrupted them. She asked them to speak louder. She sometimes got up from her seat at the table and walked to the other side of the room. So think about the dynamic. She's now standing there, now sitting, so that she could hear better. What happened was the next day, her boss called her in and said, I think you're right. I think it's time for that we move you to a different level in the organization. So there's ways without taking and putting her boss down or she put him in his place without actually saying it, you know? And it wasn't really putting him in his place as much as it was she was just harnessing her authority.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm taking notes because I'm in charge.
Yeah, I love that. Sandra and I talk all the time about the invisible work and the housework that you are asked to do in the office. And that is a really great way to harness that task and make it work for you. And it's hard to know what to do in the moment. So having these conversations, working with somebody that can help you on your presence, that can help you see outside of the hurt, right? Or the, oh gosh, they're asking me to do it again, is really, really important. That's a great story.
Well, sometimes it's about boundaries too.
Yes.
Because we don't set our boundaries. We don't communicate them appropriately. And we think we're being helpful. So we help somebody do it. And the next thing we know, that same person is dumping their work on us all the time. So being clear about your boundaries, maintaining your boundaries, saying things like, I won't do this instead of I can't do this, makes a big difference. And boundaries are hard for women because we're taught at a young age, right? That no is a bad word. I mean, we're taught, oh, don't say no. That's terrible. You're not supposed to say no. But you know what? Boundaries keep us healthy. They keep our atmosphere healthy. They keep the good stuff in and the bad stuff out.
Mm.
And we need to learn to maintain our boundaries a little bit better.
Mm. I think it's important too for women to support other women when they set boundaries.
Mm.
Oftentimes, it's other women who are the ones who are really reinforcing some bad norms.
And why? I still don't understand why that is. You know, we feel that there's only so many positions and we have to push down the other women when we should be rallying around each other and pulling each other up and helping each other. I mean, studies after studies show that women in the room think usually when they're problem solving, think about everybody as a whole, as opposed to just where they benefit or where one person will benefit. And what's interesting is we don't show that to each other when it comes to the workplace. Mm-hmm. And, you know, there's enough work for everybody. There's enough positions for everybody. We don't have to power over, especially the other women that are there.
Strictly from a woo perspective, since I bring the woo to the conversation, we're raised in a culture of scarcity. We are not raised in a culture of abundance. Mm-hmm. And so when you get it, that means I don't get it. So that's the world we live in, the world of competition. That's how things are marketed to us. And that's how we create desire in terms of like the I want to sell you something. So I'm going to convince you that you need this because you don't currently have this. So I'm going to create that want. And so and the more exclusive that want, the more I'm going to charge you for it, right? So it would be really helpful if we not only raised our children, but we ourselves understood that the only thing that limits us is ourselves.
That's right. It really is. And it's the way we think about things. It starts in our brain and then it moves into our actions. You know, we need to harness our thoughts about things. And once we can do that, then we can look at changing our life and our situation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And
it reminds me of, sorry.
Ahead. Yeah.
I was just going to say, it reminds me of when little kids, you know, when I first had my boys, and then, you know, I was going to have another child, then the concern is always, are you going to love me less, right? And I always think of abundance in that way. Abundance grows, right? What you don't take what you currently have and divide it. It just multiplies. It expands. You don't have less love for the new dog or for the old dog because you got a new dog. You just have twice the amount of love and work and poop and pee and food and all that other stuff. But you know what I mean.
Well, if you've ever been around somebody who's like negative all the time, it's like the worse it gets, right? It's where you focus your energy. Whatever you put your attention on is what's going to multiply. So if you're thinking in a scarcity mindset that, oh, I'm not going to get this position. I just did a blog about red cars and don't hit the golf ball into the lake. Right. And when you are focusing on hitting the golf ball into the lake, you're going to hit the golf ball into the lake every single time. Right. What you notice, what you pay attention to. And if you're paying attention to, oh, there's only so many positions, then guess what? That's what you're creating in your world.
Yeah.
And it starts really with us in creating our world in a way in which we can have abundance and we'll accept abundance.
Yeah. And is there a way that we can use what you teach about power and influence to help empower other women to maybe feel the same way?
Absolutely. And I think one of the most powerful ways to do that is what I call modeling the way. Because when we model the way for other women, they see it and they go, wow, what is that? They feel it. Have you ever felt, like if you're in a room and a movie star walks in, you may not know that movie star or a very powerful person walks in, you feel the energy shift, right? And you want to know what is it about them that you can feel? That is energy. It's this unseen kind of like the wind that's just happening. And when we can model the way for other women, they're going to say, what is that? I want to know more about that. And then we can help teach them.
I love this.
Such a good conversation for sure. So Gail, tell us a little bit more about how to stay connected with you, where we can get your book.
You can order my book on Amazon. It's called Power Up, Power Down. One of the best ways to stay connected with me is go to my website, gailrudolph.com. There's an opportunity there to join the community. You will start getting information that will help you with this. One of the blogs I was talking about, the information I was talking about was, what you see, where you focus your energy. We talk about AI. We talk about pet peeves that other people have and make sure that you're not doing it. So it's all those soft skill things that will just help you be a better person in general. And you can just sign up for the GRC community there, and you'll get on our mailing list, gailrudolph.com.
And what's your biggest pet peeve? Now you've got me intrigued.
My biggest pet peeve? Oh, gee. Gosh, my biggest pet peeve is probably, that's a good one. It's probably personal space still, that people still, which goes on with everybody else's. People get in your personal space, just like you want to move back going, wait, this is my space here. You're a little too close. That's probably one of my biggest pet peeves. That and a limp handshake. Oh my goodness, that drives me nuts. And actually, in one of my teachings, I am teaching about how to show up, how to network properly, and what to do in the room to network the right way. And a limp, a straight on, firm handshake matching, the firmness that they're giving. Don't kill them if they're not doing a firm handshake. But those things make a big difference.
I love that. That's good. Because people are a little strange about handshakes post-pandemic. And so, yes, some people still go right in, and some people are like, oh, I don't shake hands. And I'm like, that's fine, no problem. But it's interesting that, yes, personal space is danced all over all the time. And maintaining a professional, good personal space is probably better.
And that's powering up over. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
That's powering up over somebody, is getting inside their personal space.
Yes.
Just like standing over them is a power up.
That's not hard to do in my case. I'm pretty short.
And
now-
takes that,
Oh,
tilting your head back and kind of looking down. That's a power up move, as opposed to when you're doing this. That's a power down move. It doesn't matter how tall you are. Isn't that great?
I love it. And now, what's your biggest pet peeve?
My biggest pet peeve is when somebody in a place of influence or power ignores that somebody else is giving a sign that they're ready to speak, and they just keep plowing ahead with their agenda, not recognizing that they can share their time and space with someone else.
That's a good one.
Sandra, what do you think is annoying?
Me?
Yeah.
I didn't think about it in the context of power. But I will. My biggest pet peeve in life in general is just people who talk on the phone in the bathroom, in a public bathroom. That like drives me crazy. No one needs to talk in the bathroom, people. But in the context of power, people who change your name from whatever you give them to something else. Ooh. So that drives me nuts. So I always introduce myself as Sandra, and then people will, call me Sandy. And there's only one person in the world that can call me Sandy. And Annette knows who that is. And it's because I'm afraid of her. I love her to pieces, but yeah, I don't want to be the one to tell her.
I have a good friend that has also nicknamed me, but she does it out of love, and there's nothing that you can do about it. So knowing where it comes from is okay.
Yes.
But yes, that can be a power move to say, I know better than you, and I'm not going to honor your request because it doesn't match with what I want.
Yeah.
And
I've had men do it to me in meetings.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I have corrected them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And I guess what a great thing to think about from here is, what do you do that you maybe don't intend to, but that exerts your power over someone else instead of sharing your power with someone else, right? And as Gail says, what are you doing that's creating this friction instead of what are you doing that creates this space where you can work together?
Well, Annette, you bring up a good point. We only have control over ourselves. Yeah. We don't have control over anything else.
Yeah.
But if we can control ourselves, we can sometimes change the conversation. And that's how we change our communities. That's how we change the world.
I love that.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Powerful.
Gail, this has been such a good time talking with you. I feel like you've shared so many things of value, and now I'm going to have to re-listen and take this back with me and really think about the things that I can control and how to make a difference when I'm sharing my power and when I'm sharing my influence with others.
It's been a pleasure to be here with you, ladies. You're awesome.
Thank you, Gail. That's a wrap on this episode of Exposing the Hidden Reality. If something hit home or made you snort laugh, tell us.
Seriously, we love hearing from you. Message us, tag us, or send us coffee. We love coffee.
And hey, leave a review. It helps more women find us and boosts our egos.
Which are fragile, suspiciously fragile.
True. All right, until next time, keep questioning, keep growing, and if all else fails,
blame the dog.
See you next time. Wait, did we stop recording?
No, we're still here. You have to push the red button.
Red button. Cool. Just eternal podcast.
Bye.
Bye.